Welcome everyone to another episode of Visibility Era, the podcast. Lydia and I are back together, just the two of us, just us two. Hey, Lydia.
In in Greece.
In Greece, if you're not watching this on YouTube, just pause for a moment on your phone and go to YouTube because you need to see our backgrounds.
We're not actually in Greece. Like I wish we were in Greece, but we're not. We're
We just think it's so fun.
using one of those Zoom backgrounds. It's too funny.
This is great. We realized we haven't done an episode, just the two of us, in quite some time. We've had so many exciting things come and happen, and I don't even think the podcast knows about my recent news,
No, they
my
don't.
recent life
You want to
news.
share?
I mean, maybe they were getting glimpses since we like talked our whole episode about like our strategy and like shifting things. But Bridget is with child.
Weird. With a child. Bridget is pregnant, which is so excited. We're so happy for her. And with that, it honestly made us think about, well, number one, she shared the news with me and was like, hey, you're like one of the first people that I'm telling.
Truly, because I was like, I talk to you every single day. Like,
Yeah.
this is going to impact our business. This is going to impact how I feel in the beginning, especially, I was horizontal, guys.
Yeah, which also felt like it was so exciting for me to hear that news. I was like, oh my goodness. It was beautiful. Yeah. So
Thank you. So if
you're
you've heard
welcome.
like a lot of the plans for our company, even behind the scenes of what we want to do and the strategies we're personally implementing, some of that was definitely initiated because of this massive life change, which would obviously impact the business that Lydia and I have together. Because right now it is the two of us. We have interns who support us and help us, but we're the ones who drive the ship, and it will be different when we have a third person to hang out with us.
Yeah, which is also really exciting because when I think about brand growth or business growth, like our lives are not going to be the same, whether it be inside the business or personally. So to me, like this was not a scary thing at all. I was like, ooh, new fun challenge. Let's figure it out. Because at the end of the day, like we want to continue to build more time for ourselves and our personal lives. Like that's the perk of growing a brand. It's not to work until we die. It's to work so we can enjoy our lives. So for us, we've been shifting our thought process on like, okay, well, if we don't have all the time in the world to be giving to our clients, how can we still give them insane amounts of value without us being there all the time?
Yeah, and this is really where the idea of the community, the mastermind came in because we had been doing for 2024, we doing a lot of one-on-one work, which has been fantastic and so fun. And like we've really got to work very intimately with brands and founders. And at the same time, we knew then with this news, okay, we needed a way that we can reach more people, especially like between the two of us. And I was just telling Lydia before this, I was like, Lydia, did you know I used to run this mastermind? I called it the Visibility, Velocity, and Victory Mastermind. And we got together every single week. And we basically strategized. Each one of us on the call would share what's going on in our business. We would take turns to accept feedback or ask questions. And it was the power of that was incredible because we were all different types of business owners in different industries with different strengths. We've been doing different things. Some people had a career as a chef, an engineer, and were now running their own business. And there is a lot to be said for that. So when we decided to open up our own community, so yeah, in case you guys haven't heard, Pitch Party is our course. Of course, it's always been there, but it is a PR community and mastermind that you
Mhm.
will get to be part of, where we get to support you intimately as part of our group and our community so we can help you with your business and your brand growth strategy because it is all connected.
Yep, it's all connected. And I love that you said also that your other mastermind, which can we LOL that it also had the word visibility in it, but your other mastermind had a bunch of different business owners from somebody who's invested in a ton of communities. Hi, that's me. What I've found is it is so much more valuable to be in a community with different types of businesses than yours. What I found for even myself is if I join communities that have similar businesses as me, we all end up doing like the same strategies and then wondering why it's not working. And like it's a very narrow-minded type of thought process. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with anybody in there. But when you start to meet others that are doing things like totally differently, it opens up your mind and concepts to possibilities of different ways of doing business. So like, for example, if I join a community of real estate investors, I don't do real estate at all, but the backbone of real estate is community. And so for me, I would start thinking about like, I actually did, this is like a real thing. I actually joined like a few communities that had a lot of real estate people in them. And they always talked about boots on the ground, community, like how to create relationships with people. And it made me think about online business differently, where I was like, oh, okay, I need to like be way more personal online. Like, how do I do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I just think it's much smarter to be we all have such different experiences and different perspectives, and we can actually bring those into a group and community setting. Like yesterday, as we're recording this, Pitch Party launched August 8th, and we hosted our first community call, which was fantastic. And they both had very different backgrounds, health practitioner, and then someone who's been in the consumer product goods space for the last like 20 years working for Colgate. So that's a very different background. But the beauty was they were both able to see things that the other one wasn't able to see. And that there is so much strength in that. And when we decided that we wanted to add a community component, we wanted to be able to facilitate those conversations. We wanted to be able to create a community where business owners could be held accountable. They could talk about the pitches that they're sending out. They could talk about some of their plans, the podcast they want to be on, the TV shows that they'd love to be interviewed on, just some of their bigger goals and dreams, and actually have a space where people could, number one, listen, number two, hold them accountable, and they could get direct, strategic, personalized feedback. Because what Lydia and I are really good at, and we just had this branding session the other day with our dear friend Rich Keller. Thank you. He was on the pod. He reflected back to us that both of our strengths is to dial in and have a bird's eye view of listening to someone's business and what their goals are and what they want to do. And we'll be able to give them the exact like strategy, especially from a PR perspective, of what we would do if we were them. And we all need that kind of feedback. Like, tell me what you think, right?
Yeah, we really do need that type of feedback. And, you know, I think we both are so good at that in very different ways. The way that we that's what we noticed in our branding session. We're like, the way that we get to solving the problem is super different. Whereas, yeah, I don't even know how to describe it. Well, we just get to it in totally different ways. And we have really different strengths that come to that. So imagine being able to have that type of support and feedback where we're really seeing a 360 approach of like what you need to do on how to position yourself to get more press. And speaking of this conversation around press, Bridget and I whole day today have been talking about like what the actual goal is for our clients, for you listening, what the actual goal is with our courses. And anybody out there with businesses, this is like the question you always ask yourself, like, what's the goal? Why do they want to buy from us? Blah, blah, blah. And
Mhm.
yeah, like it's press, but at the end of the day, you are looking to grow your audience. It's always an audience problem. Like if you have a
Mhm.
really good product and you have a really good service, at the end of the day, like nobody's going to buy it if nobody knows about it. So what we're selling or what we're like helping you achieve is getting eyes on your business, getting the world to know about your brand. Because you could have the most amazing product, but like if you don't have the platforms or the follower count, everybody's always talking about the Instagram follower account. It's like you feel like you're obsolete.
And it's just like not true. And I think for most, I think the biggest shift that we bring our clients through is going from the time where you're doing a lot of outbound outreach, meaning
Mm-hmm.
you are going to be posting on socials. Yes, you are going to be sending out your pitches. You are going to be applying for shows and conferences and all of that. And what happens is when you keep doing that, you build brand awareness. And what happens when you build brand awareness? You build credibility and trust. What happens when you build credibility and trust? People know what you do and they think of you when they need someone who does that. So what happens with our clients is it moves from this outreach strategy, yes, that will happen, to this inbound opportunity strategy,
Mm-hmm.
which is when people and businesses come to you, which is like, mwah, as Lydia would say, chef's kiss.
You just created like the most beautiful mental roadmap. I was like, wow, that's exactly how to describe it. You go from here to here to here to here, and that's how you get there. So the press is really like the how. It's like, this is the how to get there. But at the end of the day, I'm going to say the end of the day 50 more times. You just want to be able to grow your audience. So even for us, like we've been reflecting on what has happened since we've switched our strategy. So we switched our strategy to this online platform and community, but we also looked at our own brand and started walking the walk and talking the talk. and looked at like what we're doing in terms of our marketing and PR strategies. And what we've realized is we're actually nurturing our audiences. We're not growing our audiences. So we switched to a brand growth strategy on literally every platform. So
Yes.
we started, we were posting like crazy on Pinterest. We kind of took a little pause and then we popped off and went viral. So like feel free to go follow us there. We have 46,000 impressions on Pinterest right now, which is so much fun. We switched our strategy on Instagram to only reels, which gets pushed out. We started pitching ourselves to press. Bridget and I have gotten interviewed on Entrepreneur like multiple times. She's on Ask Men. We both have been interviewed on some really amazing podcasts. And as a result of that, we were just invited to speak at a huge conference in New York City for PR professionals at a college. So we'll let you know more details about that as we get closer to that. But we got invited to that. We got asked to be on another podcast. People are starting to come to us constantly
Mhm.
for questions, DMs. Like I have never had so many inbound requests in my life
We
ever.
just remember the thing I just told you about? Someone just reached out and said, "Hey, like we were listening to your podcast and your show, like looking to
Yeah.
collaborate." So that's the biggest shift. That's what we
Yep.
all want as business owners
People
because
to
yeah,
knock on
we
our
know.
door.
Yeah, we want people knocking at our door. We want people coming to us. In the beginning, there tends to be a lot of that legwork, which, like, yeah, you're laying the foundation. And a lot of our clients are moving, like, they're kind of at the tail end of like that outreach, the outbound
Hmm.
stuff, and moving into attracting the opportunities. But we need to do the things that are going to actually get us there. And, Lydia created this reel the other day and she was like, here's the real reason you're not getting real. Here's the real reason you're not getting on podcasts. It's probably because you're not even putting yourself out there
Nope.
and no
It's
one knows about you yet. So the inbound isn't happening yet because you haven't done the outbound.
Yep. And if they did do one, this is okay. There's two things that I see here, and we're not getting invited onto big podcasts, but this is also just invited on big things in general. Hello, balloons. Um, number one, you're not putting yourself out there and you're waiting to get discovered, which is like hilarious because that's not a thing. The only way you get discovered is if you already created the big audience. So it's like very counterintuitive. Like you're waiting to get discovered, but you don't have a big following and nobody knows about you. So you will never get discovered because it's like searching for a needle in a haystack. The only way you get discovered is if you like, I don't know, have a reel go viral or a YouTube video go viral, and then maybe Ellen DeGeneres will find you or
But
whatever.
remind people of all the reels that they had to make before they went viral. I think people forget about
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. So I think that we take things at face value and don't realize the back end or the things that go into it. So getting discovered, not a thing, not happening. Or number two, they will actually pitch themselves like once or twice or like reach out. They'll never get the response back or they'll get a no. And then their egos are hurt and they're like, I'm not worthy or blah, 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 or I don't get invited on. I already tried. And it's like, okay, well, did you have a media professional or a PR professional help you with that? Did you position yourself properly? How did you ask them? It's very simple once you get the skills, but there is a skill that comes into pitching. And once you understand it, once you nail it, once you get your brand positioning down, it's so simple. Then it's just the act of doing a few outreach, whatever, everything in life, you have to create some sort of foundation and then it comes back around. So just to give you some perspective on this, Bridget and I only started switching up our strategy in like January. So it's been like, I don't know, 6 months of us working on this and seeing
It's
massive
August.
results. Whatever. February, we talked about it in January. We didn't actually
That
do
feels
anything until
accurate
like
though. I think six
February.
months feels accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it. We were like, oh, let's do this. We started building out a strategy. We like hired our intern. So we actually started doing things, sending out pitches, implementing a little bit later on. And that's when we started seeing the results. So it doesn't take that long to build out the foundation, is what I'm trying to say. It's not like this crazy lengthy thing. But I think if you get anything from this, it's thinking about like, what am I doing on these platforms and how can I shift my strategy to an audience growth strategy?
Yeah, and then like the way that you then use the socials is you share the wins that you've gotten through those like outbound, excuse me, audience growth strategies. Like if you've been on the
Mm-hmm.
podcast, if you've gotten the media feature, if you spoke at a conference, if you were interviewed on TV, you then utilize your social platform to build the trust within your community that you already have.
Yep.
And what does that do? That actually helps you convert quicker. Because if they see that you're someone who's out there talking about X, Y, and Z, like you are an expert, you do this is something you do and you're known for, they are more likely to trust you. It's why people are coming
Yep.
to us now because they trust us. It's like
Yeah.
we are speaking about this all the time. Like when they think of our name, when they think of our brand, we've now created enough mental association where they go, oh, those are like the PR girls. This is what they do. This is what they talk about. Oh, I have a PR question. I'm going to go to Bridget and Lydia, which is exactly what you want as a business owner. Like this is the goals. This is goals, guys. Goals.
This is the freaking goal. So, speaking of how we did this shift, we then positioned ourselves as experts in our field, which creates a positive brand image. And I want to talk about brand image for a second, because I think when people think about that, people think like, oh, brand image really means that you are manipulating. Like I've heard that before, not a lot, but I've heard it like that it's a manipulation tactic. And that is simply not true. Basically, what it is it's a tactic to share all the incredible things that you do. How many times, Bridget, question, have you spoken to an amazing business owner, you know that they create results, but you ask them what they do and they don't know how to describe it?
This is like one of the biggest challenges with business owners.
Yep.
Biggest challenges. Biggest challenges.
How many people have you interviewed on your podcast before this one? Bridget had a podcast. It was really good. I used to listen to it before we became friends. So creepy.
I love that. I could always tell the business owners who had had any media training, aka they'd been interviewed a bunch of times. They knew how to talk about their brand. They knew how to position. They knew how to like sell without selling, which is something Lydia
Mhm.
always says. And then I always knew the ones, and I just like felt for them who had never been really interviewed before. And I was like, oh my God, I think I'm gonna have to
Yep.
cut this down. Like that was too lengthy of a response. People are gonna lose interest.
Yep, they're going to lose interest. And it's so interesting how you could have all your credibility. This is what I see from a lot of people. You could have a ton of credibility, like built up experience, built up. But if you don't know how to package it well
Mm.
and ship it
Mhm.
out, aka pitch it out, people are not going to see the value on the other end. So a lot of like a lot of PR strategy is about branding first, which is something that we really focus on in Pitch Party. We it takes a while to actually go to, not a while, but like a few weeks of, if you like take the course and you do like it weekly, you can also binge it, but if you do each lesson like weekly, you will see that we start with a very simple question of like, what do you call yourself? Okay, what's your brand summary? Like, what's your bio? Like, what is your offer suite? We ask you these very foundational questions. So then when you get to your brand positioning and we give you the strategy on how to position yourself, we're like, okay, well, you already have all of this stuff. Now the questions are the differentiation. And then we go into differentiation and we go into like all these branding pieces. So when you get to your pitch, it's so easy for you to just like plug and play. And then you look incredible on the other side. It's just pulling out and extracting all the amazing things about your brand and what you do and the transformation that you provide and the value that you provide and the results, or for products, like all the incredible things that makes your product unique, because that's why it's on the market in general, right? It's like I could go down a rabbit hole. I
Well,
invite
and I
rabbit
even
hole.
think back, we used to do a lot of these like PR brand audits and PR strategy sessions, which were essentially just that. We would spend a lot of time just asking them those questions because we knew that if they didn't have that clarity, it would be very hard to rate a pitch or position themselves correctly or even figure out like where they wanted to take their business and where they wanted to go. So, a lot of what we're doing with our community, the mastermind that we have now,
Yeah.
is a lot of the calls are going over like, tell me about your business. Like, I want to hear a little bit more about what you do. And then we're going to give you that kind of bird's eye view of, okay, does that make sense? Like, if that doesn't make sense to the public, then we're likely going to like want to shift the positioning a little bit. And that's the best and most important piece of like having the support of the community
Mhm.
versus doing something like this completely on your own. So like when you, yeah, because I'm so excited. When you join and purchase Pitch Party, you get access for lifetime of our business, which like lifetime to our course Pitch Party, which literally goes through every single thing that you need to get press, to get podcasts, to be well positioned, to know how to utilize them. And the added bonus of all of this is you get access to us for an entire year. An
Yep.
entire year. And this episode is going to come out before our sale is over. You're going to get access to us for $1,297, which literally breaks down to $108 a month, which if you're a spiritual person, 108 is a very powerful number. But anywho, like
I did
that
not know
breaks
that.
down to nothing for
Yeah.
community support, which is, huh?
It breaks down to nothing. So in the community, yeah, we're going to be talking about press. We're going to be talking about different like PR strategies, seasonal things. But
Mhm.
what I mentioned about branding having to do a lot with PR is in these types of masterminds, we end up talking a lot about just business in general and how things are set up because like it's not like one piece that just lives separately from everything else. Like PR lives with lots of different friends. It has the branding friend, marketing friend, advertising friend, sales friend, and they all work in this beautiful way together to make your business thrive. So, for example, I actually just signed on a new client for PR, like for one-on-one stuff. And in our kickoff call, I was like, oh, okay. So, like, do you have a lead magnet that I can add to the show notes? And she was like, oh, I've been thinking about creating one of those. I'm like, okay, you need one because when you are on podcasts and you're sharing all your wisdom, people are going to want to know where to find you. They're going to want to know some sort of freebie. Freebies could be anything from a workshop, like we have a free workshop, how to get featured on top media. It could be a downloadable, it doesn't matter, but that is a way for them to get access to your world. You could also add links to your Instagram in the show notes. And we start thinking about, is your Instagram professional? Does it reflect your business in a really positive way? So it's like there's so many conversations to be had about how your business is set up, how your funnels are supporting the rest of your business. So it's not just like a PR mastermind. Like it physically cannot be.
No, I totally geeked out. One of the videos I recorded was like I don't even know how I came up with this title, the cross functionality of like PR in your business or something like that. And that
Yeah.
was the whole point. It was like, once you understand these skills, you're going to understand, like Lydia said, like all those cousins that live at the same house, like they're all connected. And once you
Mhm.
understand it's all about positioning, doing that outreach, reaching out, the world is your oyster. If
Yep.
you want to get on speaking stages one day, like if that is your goal, you will know how to do that because you understand how to position a good idea at a good time to the right person. And like that is amazing. Okay, even if you have a podcast, you're going to know how to get the best guests on there because you know how to position what it is that you do and what the value is, which is like the word that I feel like if we had $1 for every time we said the word value, it would be pretty crazy. Like we'd be in Greece currently.
Oh yeah, we'd be in
We'd
Greece
live
right
there.
now.
We'd live. We'd live
We'd
there.
actually live in Greece. We would pick up our families and we'd move to Greece together because we'd have that much money just
Yes.
from our $1 of value. But it's true. It's really positioning your value. And I'm so excited about this because the value that you get out of the community, seriously, am I okay? The value that get out of the community is just so impactful for so many different areas. Like you just had our first call and it's super early. So we just had like two of our clients show up. We literally were like launching it. We're like, hey, you want to come hang out with us today? So we'll give you more notice next time. But they had so many reflections on their branding. Like, didn't you say that like one of them ended up like seeing their ideal client differently or like
Yeah, like the whole way that they were talking about their company, because this is where
mm,
you get to use like a group too, and we get to say, hey, does this make sense for you? Like, do you
right?
understand what this business does? Because if there's someone on the other end of the screen or, the Zoom does not understand what you do, that's a great indicator that there's just room for change. It doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong or
No.
bad. It's just an opportunity to shift something, and it's usually as simple as like the message of what it is. So it can be so simple. And that call was fantastic. Not only did it like light up my soul on fire because I just love like facilitating. I mean, both of us, whenever we get off our calls with our clients, like when we do it as a group, we are on cloud nine. Lydia have a Slack and I have a Slack channel. We then message each other on the Slack channel.
Immediately.
We're like, that was so much fun. Like, how blessed are we?
Every single time we go on the Slack channel immediately after, we're like, that was so good. Wasn't that so good? That was so much fun. That was so good. That was so much fun. But like it really is because it's so exciting. You get to see people really take off. Another thing that we have realized, and the reason why we moved over to a community platform, we were number one, we were already treating anybody that was in Visibility on Purpose world, any of our products as a community. Anytime a editor or a writer like reached out to us and asked, "Hey, do you know somebody in your community that does this?" We would connect them with one of our past students or our past clients. It was to the point where it was like out of control. We're like, okay, we need to like bring these people into a community because we're like treating it this way, but not everyone, where they're not reaping the benefits of like being in one space together. So that's why we wanted to bring everybody together. But we're talking to media professionals all the time. We're on these platforms all the time. So if we see a good opportunity come through that makes sense for our clients, we're going to let you know about it. And
Mhm.
not only that, like Bridget, okay, I just had a call this morning with another publicist, as one publicist me does. And the amount of publicists that I personally know who don't know how to pitch podcasts, don't know how to use podcasts for thought leadership, and don't know the different platforms out there that to use to make like media easy for you is just absolutely wild to me. Like we joke around that the media comes to you with
Mhm.
these types of platforms. We like there's so many little back doors that we share with you that make it so freaking simple to get featured. It feels illegal. Like we joke around that it feels illegal to know this, but it is very not illegal.
Or if people know about the platforms, they have no idea how to use them correctly. And then they're not
Right.
getting the actual features that they want because they haven't been trained on the
Hmm.
platforms. And like we
Yeah.
literally specifically have reached out to the companies that we are
Yeah.
talking about these platforms because we want to know them better. Like we've
Yeah.
interviewed some of these platforms on our podcast and on the show because we really want you as a listener and as our
Hmm.
client to understand how to use these for your greatest advantage. And it was so funny. I was just talking to our friend who does SEO and she was like, "Do you guys teach like how to use these platforms where the media comes to you?" I was like, "That is absolutely." We talk about, our
Hmm.
big thing is number one, making this easy. So 1 to 2 hours a week you should be putting into this. That's it. That's all you need. And then number two, we teach a mixed approach. So curated outreach where you are sending out the pitches, personalized. They are, to writers and anchors at TV shows and podcast hosts where you would want to be a fit on. And then we talk about those inbound media inquiries where you are navigating and responding to things that are coming your way. And that strategy mixed together. Woo, woo, woo.
Literally so good. And what I find really special about what we're doing, Bridget, is I talk to media professionals all the freaking time, and none of them are seeing it from our perspective of the user or of the brand. So it's really different. It's really interesting to me that the the information that they know is almost like gate kept because they've never looked at it from another perspective. So like, yeah, they may just do traditional pitching where you basically build the relationships, you have years of experience under your belt, you're reaching out to the media, XYZ, but that might be the literal only way that they know how to do media, which is okay for them, but that's the only way they know how to do it. And they can't share those, they can share the skills, but they can't share the relationships. Like that's their relationship. So it's really different from what we're teaching, which is, yeah, build the relationships, do it this way too. But also, there's so many other platforms where they treat these platforms basically like different places where media professionals are able to like post what they're looking for directly. Like, say they have a story coming up in a week about nutrition and they're looking for a nutritionist, they will post that exact request. And then you, as the brand or the user, can come in and say, hey, I have what you're looking for. And that builds a relationship so much faster than blind pitching, which is basically just reaching out with a story angle and an idea, which also works, but it just might take a little bit longer. So we teach like two different ways to do that, where you're reaching out directly and then you're also like connecting with them on exactly what it is they're looking for, which is like so, so valuable.
I love these insights from you too, because obviously like you're very tapped into the publicist world because that is what you do. So I only see things from my perspective, which is like, how can I make this as easy as possible for me
Yeah.
as the brand and the founder who doesn't have all the time in the world and like wants what I want, which is brand awareness, exposure, media features, podcasts, TV interviews, conferences where I can speak, but I don't want to, spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours doing this for my business. So I love that. And this is like our special sauce anyway. We have one person
Super
that's,
special sauce.
like been behind the scenes for a decade. She knows exactly how this industry works. And you have one just renegade rogue who is just figuring it out on her own.
But that's what I think is so valuable too, because like I love that you look at things from such a simple perspective. Like I can overcomplicate because I'm too close to the industry sometimes, whereas you're like, oh, why don't I just do this? Oh, why don't we just make it
Mhm.
easy and do this? And I'm like, oh yeah, you
Mhm.
can do it that way. And it's so much faster. Like honestly, most of these platforms that I know about are from you because you're a little tech nerd and like dove into the ethers of
Reddit.
the internet and you're and
Reddit.
Reddit. Seriously, but like if I didn't have you, I would just be sitting in my own silo doing PR the way that I've been doing it for the past 10 years, which is pitching, reaching out. I did do podcasting for many years, which is like
Yeah.
something that a lot of still PR agencies don't do. But like, I didn't know about these other platforms. And also, when you're stuck in your own ways, you're like, well, if it's not broke, don't fix
Don't
it.
fix it.
Yep.
I mean, it's true. And, you say this a lot, which I really, really love, the way that we are really disrupting this industry, because not every publicist or PR agency is going to like what we're doing, right?
They
Because
don't.
they feel threatened that, what we're doing is in integrity. What would the word be? Like out of integrity with the, how do we say it?
The
I
way
don't think
that
that's the right
they
word.
see it, not integrity, I think it's just, it feels like a threat to their years of like honing a craft. Whereas we've looked at things from a different perspective. I love that Bridget is always looking at things from like everybody has a seat at the table.
Hmm.
You're so good at that. And we also are looking at it from a perspective of the internet's changing. Like the
Yeah.
way that people their affiliate programs are becoming a thing in marketing, which is different. PR professionals, like I can go on ChatGPT and I can ask them to write a pitch for me. Like things are happening where they're changing and for the better or for worse, I'm not sure. But we are very big on number one, at letting everybody have a seat at the table. And number two, being at the forefront of what is changing. So like no one is talking about like publicists are just getting mad, I feel like on the other end. They're like, oh, brands are using ChatGPT and they think they know and blah, blah, blah. And we're over here like, hey, all right, maybe they are using ChatGPT. Let's talk about it. Like, is
Yeah.
there a human behind it? Is that even is it even appropriate to pitch? Like, does the media care? Okay, let's have that conversation. Like, if people are already trying, oh yeah, there's also like AI, like pitching systems. I don't even know. There's all these different crazy things out there. And so we're on the other end of the brand perspective saying like, okay, these things are happening. Let's help you do this better if you're already starting to like take on this skill set for your brand instead of like reaching out third party or whatever. Is this
I
making
think this
sense?
comes down to like our entrepreneurial mindset too, right?
Yeah.
Like you always have to be agile. You have to be, is that how you say it? Agile? Be ready to pivot at any
Mm-hmm.
moment. And in the time of technology, like things are moving so, so fast. So our goal is to be ahead of the curve and to know exactly what's going on, like what platforms are coming out there, how it could be easier for you, how you still need a strategy behind what you do, how the media industry works so you don't show up and, send something that is absolutely ridiculous and no one's
Yeah.
gonna answer you at all. And like give you the access that you deserve. And it all comes
Yeah.
back to like access, which Lydia, I love when she uses that word. Maybe that'll be our other word, value and access. If we say that, we get $1 because that's the truth. Like a lot of our clients are small business owners. They have an online presence, they're product brands that they've started just from like a love in their own heart of wanting to create something and build something. They do not have the budget that Elon Musk or Tesla or, these big companies have. And the question is, how do I still get there? How do I still grow myself? And we're literally teaching you the exact steps you need to get there and how it all compounds on everything that you're already doing. This is just an addendum like to that strategy. And we're here to show you exactly how to do it and make it really easy for you.
Make it so easy. I see like two ways that people are doing this. Like one, they're sitting back and saying, I don't have access. I don't understand. How does this work? How do these people get onto these big media platforms? Or two, they're trying to do it and they're doing like a chat GPT pitch or whatever, and it's all coming out wrong. Or they're on the platforms that are connecting them to the media professionals and they're not getting featured. Like the amount of times I've heard, hey, do you remember when like Harrow used to be a thing? It disappeared, but it used to be a newsletter where three times
Are
a
there
day
still newsletters coming out at all? Or
for
like
Harrow.
it's,
No,
yeah,
it is obsolete.
it's all connectively. Like you have
Yeah,
to go on their website.
you
So
have to go on.
interesting.
Yeah.
See, this is how fast things are changing.
This is how fast things are changing. So it's really important to like have some professionals that know the industry really, really well. But like I would hear this all the time. People would sign up for it. It was help a reporter out, where they would stack up a newsletter 3 times a day and send it out of media professionals at like huge magazines like Women's Health and New York Times. And they would ask for specific requests and say, I'm looking for an interior designer. I'm looking for this, that. And so many business owners would say, I've replied to so many of them and I'm not getting featured. And they would get upset and they'd be like, I don't know why, blah, blah, blah. But they never really reflected on like, maybe the problem is you, maybe because you don't know how to position yourself. So yeah, anyway, we just teach you how to do it so you don't have to like sit around and get frustrated or not understand how. It's like we've done the how, we know the tools, we know the 360 approach, we know it from the product side or the consumer side or whatever. We know it from the media side. So here's all the tools to get it done super easy. Our clients like regularly get press on huge magazines and publications in like a few weeks. Think
Remember
about
when
it.
what didn't someone like try to fight you once because they were like
Yes.
you definitely paid for this, and we're like no we didn't, but like
Yep.
nope, nope.
Every once in a while, I'll like post about a client, or actually a client will tell me, they'll post that they like got featured on Forbes or something, and they'll come back to me and say like, people are like bullying me because they think that I paid like 10 grand for it. And I'm like, oh, okay. Do you want me to come in and educate them on how organic press works? Like, I'm happy to do that.
I
So
love
I think, yeah, a lot of people think that the only way to get featured is to pay for it, to go through the advertising or the sales teams. And I mean, you can do that if you want to pay like between 20 to 500 grand, but like who has that?
That's so wild. In the efforts of not making this 500 hour episode, which of course Lydia and I could naturally
Whoops.
naturally do. We're like, how it's already been 30 minutes. Why don't we kind of wrap things up with talking a little bit about like what they get in the community? Because you pointed out a really good thing today, which was the media list that we've been
Mm,
building for years. You know, we also have platforms where we are can grab email addresses to make things easier for our clients. So yeah, let's kind of go over like what they get with our little community.
yeah. So obviously you got the course, which teaches you everything. And then inside the community, we have a community built email list or media list. So already we've ran this how many times? Like a bunch of times live. I don't
Three or
even know.
four.
More than that.
Really?
5, maybe. I know time flies when you're having fun, seriously. So we've run this a bunch of times already, and each time we've had the whole group build their media list because we want to teach them how to research properly, and we'll like review it and make sure that the contacts make sense. So over the years, we've created quite a big media list that's uploaded in there. So you immediately start with contacts.
Yep. And
Um,
we made sure that all of those are accurate, by the way. So,
yeah.
like podcasts, for instance, podcasts, there's lots who start every day and there's lots that don't go past like episode 10. So, we actually went through every single podcast on the list and made sure that they're still active and still accepting guests and like haven't completely pivoted their entire show. So, that also feels really good. So, you're not like sending it to someone who's would not make sense to.
Yep. Also, you get access to us every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, we are going to be on a group call together so you can ask your questions. There have been so many times that I have taken an online course and I've had questions and nobody's there to answer them. Or like, okay, no shade on Jenna Kutcher's Pinterest lab because I did it and we are doing really well. But there is a community group on Facebook for the Pinterest lab, and there's like clearly like a bot person, or like they have somebody that just like
Oh,
monitors, and I'll ask like genuine questions waiting for a genuine answer, and every time, no fail, the answer is like keep going, like it'll work out. Like it just like these really weird fluffy responses, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I guess I'll figure it out. So like yes, every once in a while, like the course can be really amazing, but we have personalized questions that we just need somebody who is an expert in that field to answer. So that's why we basically were like, okay, not only do we want all the community aspects, but like we need to be there with you.
yep, yep, absolutely. And one thing that we, plan to do in the community as well is any kind of pop-up training. As we were saying, things are moving really, really fast. So if there's an update in the industry, if things are changing, if we have something to tell you that's really important, we'll be just going live right in the community. So you can just watch the video, you can check it out. And, the way that this kind of all came about is we used to host quarterly networking events with like our past clients, even people we interview on the podcast. And we're like, okay, how can we bring this all together? So the other goal is likely we're going to have some networking events within the community and, help us build the community. We have some big goals of what this can look like. And it's only made possible by you really being part of that and sharing everything that you're doing. Like we want to rally on your success. I want to learn about your business. I want to help you see the things that you might not be seeing. I want to help you position what it is that you're doing in a way that's like really sexy and really unique and really fun for you as well. And we both want to just like help you have fun in the process because that is a big thing that we believe
Huge.
in here. Like this is supposed to be fun. That's why it's called Pitch Party, everyone. It's
That's
a party.
literally why it's called Pitch Party. We're trying to have a low-key party. It's business can be, especially online, if you are a solo entrepreneur or whatever, it can be very, very difficult to be in your own silo and doing your own things. So we are here with you. We want to bring fun and infuse fun into like pitching and just like these types of what feels like sometimes like boring types of strategies. Cause like, I mean, is it really fun to post frequently on Instagram? Sometimes, but sometimes it's not. Like, it's not going to feel really exciting to pitch yourself, but it's going to be really exciting getting the invites, getting the
Mhm.
brand awareness, all the fun things that come with it. So just reminding you of the goal at the end is, I think, such a big one. And somebody told me, well, we can leave with this. Somebody told me to always move forward with your goals in mind
Mhm.
and your goals, or like keeping your goals at the forefront of what it is that you're doing. And that's something that we always think about. Like when you join Pitch Party, your goal is to get the TV show that you've always dreamt of, or like get all the media features that you can do X, Y, and Z. Like press is always the vessel to get you to where you want to go. It's not really like, I want to be, I mean, maybe like I want to be featured in Forbes or meet this person, but really what you're looking for is the very end of that brand awareness. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's keep your goals. We want to keep your goals in mind and just like have fun with this process because it gets to be fun and
I love
easy.
that. I love that. Our biggest sale of the year
Yeah,
is
our
going
little
on.
giant sale.
Our little giant is going on until August 22nd. We'd really, really love to have, you in the community. If this is something that speaks to you, you're welcome to reach out and like ask questions or happy to hop on a call if you want to hear a little bit more about if this works for your business. And yeah, we're just really excited and also just very grateful for everyone in our community and everyone who supports us along the way too. We've had a lot of love given to us in the past like recent little while of sharing what we do and sharing the behind the scenes and doing our launch and everything. So yeah, we're really grateful.
You know what I've noticed? Like, because we're so happy about what we do and so excited about what we do, everybody else is excited. Like all my friends knew that we were launching Pitch Party on August 8th. So yesterday for us, we're recording this on the 9th. And a bunch of my entrepreneur friends were texting me in the morning, happy Pitch Party day. And I was like, wait, what? Because they know how excited I am about it. And then we were texting each other and we were just so excited about the launch. And like, we really do bring that energy into everything that we do. It's like, let's like meet the goals, have fun, work hard, play hard. Like yes. So I hope you're feeling the energy.
Preach. Aho. Cheers, everyone. That was fun. Cheers.
What's aho?
It's like, I don't know, a saying like when I did a lot of yoga, they were like, aho, like when they hear you, like I hear you.
Oh, like I
Yeah,
see
like
you.
aho. Yeah, like I see you. Like, yeah, aho.
Wow, when you use that this week.
Yeah, I love that.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to another episode of Visibility Era, the podcast. We'll see you soon.